Mr. Hanna,
Mr. Evans.
do you have the details of the mission prepared before we start recording?
I do.
Okay, so how about you tell me what was James Bond's assignment before we start?
In this mission, there's a super secret hideout inside of a fishing boat, and it gets sunk. And there's this thing called ATAC, ATAC, and it has the capability of launching missiles from every British nuclear submarine. So before the ship goes down, the crew is supposed to destroy it, and they're not able to. So Bond is hired to go and collect it before somebody else does and turns the British submarines on themselves.
And this is For Your Eyes Only. And we are now recording. I am your agent, Jeremy Evans, along with me, the other agent, Travis Hanna. And we are doing paperwork for Your Eyes Only. Believe this is the 12th Bond film.
It's going to be the shortest because it's for our eyes only.
Exactly. So you guys can't really see this. All you can do is hear us. So for this one, this is an interesting mission for Bond. It's very straightforward with a lot of things that happen during the mission. A lot of things that just there to be there kind of feel, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah, they filled up a bunch of stuff.
It's 2 hours.
Yeah,
but it just feels like going into this as we go is, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. But I guess the question you'll probably wonder in your head, and it happened to me when I watch it, is what was the purpose of these events that happen, and what are the stories behind this? Because there's really no explanation for a lot of this stuff that happens.
So there is a device called ATAC, which I don't know what the acronym is, but it's an acronym, ATAC, and it's supposed to be, I guess it controls all of the missiles for the UK, for Britain. And the ship that houses them gets sunk, and they're not able to destroy it in time.
Right.
So before another nation can get a hold of it and use Britain's nuclear missiles and warheads against themselves and against other people, they send Bond to go and try to get it.
Right. So like so the point of it, in simple form, is Bond's mission is to retrieve this device that will stop chaos from happening.
Yes.
That's basically what it is. Straightforward, cut and dry.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff that apparently gets in his way to get there.
The rest of the movie gets in his way.
Basically.
Yeah.
So let's start from the very beginning, where the beginning has a lot of questions and misleads you. For one, Bond is what exactly is he doing, Travis?
Bond is in a cemetery. And he's leaving flowers on the grave of his wife, Teresa, who has now been dead for 12 years.
And why is that?
The tombstone says 1943 to 1969, when Your Majesty's Secret Service came out, and she was killed.
So here's the theory. The movie came out in 1969, Your Majesty's Secret Service. But they're also stating that is the year that it actually occurred. 1969. Most movies, the movie comes out that year, but it's set in a different time in that world. But this one here is exactly 1969. So now we have a thing where each Bond movie, it is set the year that is released when it comes out in theaters.
Except for Daniel Craig, because they're prequels.
Exactly.
But they're set in modern time.
Okay, so except for those, but and that's going to be a fun theory to talk about when we get down that route. But now going into this, because this movie is set in 81, right? Per se?
Or 81.
Yeah, 81. So, I couldn't tell you how old he is. I mean, I couldn't tell you, because if you said this, then Bond's gonna be over like 50 years old.
He's 12 years older than he was in Your Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, And we're thinking on the average. So we're thinking on the average, he has to be maybe in his 20s, I guess, if we had to throw up a number.
Well, let's see. His wife was born in 43, so 63 would have been 10 years. So she was, 63 would have been 20 years. So she was 26 when she died.
Okay, so...
Which means Bond was probably around 30-ish.
Okay, so we're going to estimate here...
So 12 years, he's in his 40s?
Yeah, so okay. So he's in his 40s. So that's going to be a theory later as we go down this route to the 2000s of... I think he's a little old to be... Bond should be dying by now, right? But anyways, so Teresa Bond, he went to go pay his respects once again. I guess he's been doing that for a while now. As he was about to head out, a helicopter came down to pick him up. But as they were heading back, I guess, back to the headquarters or wherever he was heading towards, it gets hijacked by a mysterious bald-headed man in a wheelchair.
Well, real quick, doing some quick math.
Oh, go on.
In this movie, Bond is 54 in real life.
That's insane, Travis. That's insane, right? 54.
Yeah, because he was born in 27.
So what? The Pierce Brosnan, he's in his 70s?
See, this is why we should just go with the idea that there are different Bonds.
There has to be. But they broke this rule by making Teresa part of this.
Yeah.
So now it's the same Bond.
Or maybe they're just paying respects to the original Bond for himself.
Or, here's the idea, maybe not have this scene at all.
There you go.
It's an unnecessary scene. But anyways, hijacked by a helicopter.
Hijacked by a helicopter.
By a bald-headed gentleman in a wheelchair.
A priest comes to Bond and says that he got a call and that his people are sending a helicopter. Mm-hmm. The helicopter arrives and Bond gets in, and we see Blofeld, or a representation of Blofeld.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm glad you said that.
Blofeld takes control of the helicopter by killing the pilot with electric shock through his ear muffs. Headphones, yeah. And then has like this controller device where he's basically just flying Bond around and having a good time. So Bond ends up like climbing into the front seats, ripping out the controller, and then uses the helicopter to pick up Blofeld by the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And lifts him up and drops him off into a giant smokestack.
Mm-hmm.
And we assume he's gone forever now.
Well, you know the rules in the movie world. If you don't actually see the death of somebody, I guess they're not considered dead, right?
I guess it could be another clone.
Right, because that's the theory that from Diamonds Forever, where I'm pretty sure you saw Blofeld actually die, and his lookalike died. But I guess maybe both of them are fake, I guess, and this is the other one. But then again, was he in a wheelchair before? We don't know. But once again, I feel like that this was something like, why are we even doing this? Were you trying to like clarify something just to make sure everybody will be quiet about it? Because I don't remember anybody caring. Everybody was. This is the sixth one. Yeah. This is the fifth one in the Roger Moore series, and you feel like that this needs to be answered by now. I think we're past this now.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they're doing a bunch of throwback stuff to try and make him more popular. Because you and I were talking before, there's a bunch of throwback stuff. Like there's the cemetery, so Teresa's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Blofeld. There's scenes on the beach, like in Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think they're just trying to throw a bunch of elements in to make it seem familiar.
Okay.
But in doing so, have completely just made a mess.
Okay. So after that, we go right into the intro, which is for your eyes only. Very, very purplish, very 80s, like no other. It kind of reminds you of, to me, The Spy Who Loved Me, except that I like the song, but the visuals in this one were kind of dumb to me. Like, with the whole like bubbles and all that kind of stuff. But I think this is the first time we ever seen a Bond intro where the actual artist that sang the song is in it singing, which is kind of okay. That's fine and all, but there's really nothing in this that's really pointing out to me. Plus, they redo a lot of like art silhouettes over again.
Yeah,
it feels okay. I'll put it like this. This intro feels like it's her music video, not a Bond intro.
There you go.
And so, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I just dislike it 100%.
Do you dislike the song in that, or just?
I didn't care for this opening at all.
Okay, but you don't like the song either. I like the song.
Yeah, I didn't.
I just didn't like the intro. Okay. So, oh yeah. By the way, I thought it was funny that they tried to do the whole like close the scene with the little circle and then zoom right back out. I was like, I never saw that in a Bond in a while. So, anyways, so when Travis was explaining the kind of the plot of this whole of this story, well, this is where kind of the beginning kind of already kind of like tells you what the whole thing's all about, right in the nutshell, about the submarine. Well, it's better you go ahead and try.
Well, it's a fishing boat. It's a
fishing boat, yeah.
And then down in the bowels is like a secret hideout, and they're tracking movements of something. They don't really get into it. All we know is there's this device called the attack, and whoever is operating it gets handcuffed to it. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they have to be handcuffed to it, but the ship gets attacked and starts sinking. And before they can destroy it, everybody kind of drowns.
Okay. So it's basically...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. There was a mine. The fishermen picked up a mine off the seafloor, which I'm pretty sure was placed there because we see the same mine later in the movie.
That's true.
And it blew a hole in the side of the ship, which is called the St. George's.
Okay.
And they sink. And then KGB Golgo is there. Gogol.
Oh, Gogol.
And he's talking about how he'd be very interested in getting it. He's not going to go after it, but if it came up for sale, he would be interested in buying it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to this chick in a plane, and she's being flown to a boat where there's two people.
By the way, they're in Greece.
Yes, they are in Greece. I'm sorry.
So they're in Greece, and this lovely, mysterious woman is flying in. Look like she does traveling or something around that line of work, and she's coming to go meet meet up with her parents, basically. And we're finding out that these parents are actually very important people because the pilot that actually dropped her off, because she flew in, right? She flew in. That same gentleman came back around and shot up the boat, ended up killing the woman's parents, and that woman's name is
Melina.
And so
the whole reason they did is MI6 hired them. They do underwater excavation of historic sites. So they go around Greece and locate old pottery and statues and everything else that is ancient from the ancient world that they can find. MI6 hired them to locate the ship, kind of low key,
right?
And so this assassin found out about it and shot up the ship and killed her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to M's office,
and basically, in a nutshell, Bond knows a little information about the device they were talking about, and he is now sent out to go retrieve it.
Right. And
so
he's sent to Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going to say, there's your girl, Moneypenny.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so he's sent to Argentina where he gets the Lotus back. It's not the same one that turns into a submarine, but it is white. He sneaks around this mansion.
By the way, hang on. What? Is that the same car that he drove from the... No, that's not the same car from The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, it's the Lotus.
That is the same one?
It's a newer model.
Okay, but it is still a Lotus.
It is a Lotus.
Okay. Just making sure. All right, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So he's sneaking around and getting information.
Well, I think he's more doing intel. Like he's kind of
like
just
recon, right? He's just gathering information.
Yeah. So, by the way, like this is like a beautiful like home. Like
it looks like the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, basically. But like the men and women ratio is highly on the women's side, and so. And I guess this guy, the guy that killed Melina's parents, he's rolling big. So here they are doing an intel, and then a couple of gentlemen came in, and apparently they're meeting up with the higher hitman. You know, giving him the reward for doing his job and whatnot.
Right, just a briefcase full of money.
Right. And so from there, Bond decided like I'm gonna look around just a little bit more. And then he gets ambushed.
Right.
From above. So this shows right there that they have guards in the trees. So and it's a nice suit too. So after he gets, captured, he's in a brief conversation with the hired gunman. The hired gunman told the gentleman to take him away, do something with him, drown him or whatever. Now the gentleman sitting in this chair watching this all happen goes by the name the Dove. And the Dove is the one, of course, he's the one that hired the gunman to kill Melina's parents, and he's just a silent guy, as we know. He doesn't talk. He's just sit there. He's just observing everything. So he's mysterious. He's a bit of a nerdy looking character with glasses and whatnot. And so back to where Bond is being taken away to be killed. The hitman decide he wants to jump in the pool. He does the worst belly flop in the world, but we find out that he got shot in the back with an arrow. Who shot him in the back? Miss Melina.
Yep, he used to be an assassin until he took an arrow to the back.
There you go. So, and right there was like you could tell right there, like, okay, Melina ain't playing. Like, no, she's up for revenge.
She's gonna get anybody who was involved with her parents.
Right. And she was going straight John Wick on this thing. And so basically
Bond takes the opportunity to make an escape for himself, knocks the guys out, takes some guns, and is just running through this compound or property. I'm not real sure what it is, but he comes across Melina. He's going back to his Lotus, and one of the henchmen sees his car and is trying to break in.
Oh, I love this scene.
And goes to break the glass, and the car explodes.
That's so awesome.
But not before the audience sees on the window that this car is protected by an anti-theft device.
That's right.
So
that's right.
So when he breaks the window, the whole car blows up.
That is awesome. I would hate if Bond ever lost his keys. He's like, I guess I'm walking because I cannot break him back into my car. So they end up escaping in Melina's car, which I don't know what kind of car that is. I don't know what
kind of car this is either.
It looks like a
mix between a Volkswagen thing, a Volkswagen Bug, and a Gremlin.
For people that are anime fans, picture Lupin the Third. It looks like it kind of looks like the car from Lupin the Third. And so they're escaping down this hill, and it becomes this long car chase, but the difference is they're slowly going down this hill, but the scenes don't look like it. But you can see they keep going down hills, and they keep zipping and turning and everything like that. They managed to ramp over these bad guys' cars a couple of times, but they managed to make their all the way down. All the cars crash into a...
to let you know how ridiculous... This is like the Scooby-Doo of car chases.
Basically.
Because, they roll down a hill and land on their tires and keep going.
Yeah.
They do a jump, and the wheels of their car hits the roof of the car of one of the bad guys' cars. It's just it's ridiculous.
One part was interesting though, as they were going down the hill of this place, because they end up going through a little village on their way down this hill, and the car tips over, and basically the village people came to help them bring the car back up. But meanwhile, a tour bus or a bus was coming in the way, block the bad guys off, and Bond and Melina got their car back up and they drove off, and then they continued on. And then the last car, both cars end up crashing into trees and falling and all that stuff. No explosions.
No explosions, you're right.
Right, no explosions. I think they're staying away from all explosions. I will give the black guy credit. There was a black guy in here that wasn't going to take it. They were arguing with the guy that moved his bus. He brought the gun, shot it in the air. He said, move your crap. And they did it. So, good job, henchman number 45. So, anyways, after that car of a chase, we go right into...
basically, Bond and Melina go back to his hotel. And then the next scene is Bond is in M's office and is kind of reporting to him everything that...
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
That took place. So it's M and not the Prime Minister, the Chief of Staff. And the Chief of Staff is being a real kind of like a-hole to Bond. And M and this guy are just like, what did you really accomplish? We told you to go, that you could do something better. Or that you needed to look at the device. And Bond is like, well, I have information about some people that were there. It's not a complete loss. Let me continue to pursue. And they're like, all right, well, go talk to Q because he's got this device that will help us identify who this guy is, called the Identigraph.
So let's go right into our Q branch. So, Travis, what has Q got for Bond that he cannot use?
So Bond walks into Q's laboratory, I guess, and he sees a guy with a broken arm. And then all of a sudden, the cast is on a hinge and slings against this dummy's face and smashes it. Mm-hmm. And then there's an umbrella that, when rain gets on it, these claws come out of each end of the I don't know what they're called, like the bracing wires that hold the umbrella together.
Yeah. And
it collapses in on this dummy's neck.
What?
And Bond says,
"Go ahead."
Stinging in the rain.
Nice. Yeah. But I couldn't tell you what that is for. Like, would you just hand the umbrella to somebody and just say, enjoy?
Well, I mean,
can you give me a scenario that would make sense?
If it's raining outside and you want to assassinate somebody and where they're going to be, who takes their umbrella with them to meetings? They usually, if there's a coat check place, they'll check it with their jacket. So if the person behind the counter was working for MI6, instead of giving the guy back his own umbrella, like when he's leaving, he would give him this umbrella, and as soon as he opened it up in the rain, the claws would come out and decapitate him.
Do you think that's a Bond thing, though? Do you think Bond would just do that?
I don't think Bond would, but there's other agents besides the 00 agents.
Where are they? Okay, anyway, so...
They're being better.
And then the last thing was basically a newer model of the Lotus.
Yeah, there's a red Lotus now in Q's lab.
So let's go into the Identigraph room, which I've recently found that's what it's called. And right here, they pull out this large disc that, it looks like one of those large film cases that you do for movie theaters, and you put them on the reel and just let it roll. So they put it in this thing that looks like, as soon as they close, like a 3D projector should be coming out. But it's basically kind of like, I guess, what would you say it is exactly?
This whole scene is to demonstrate how cool computer graphics are in 1981.
Okay.
So Bond is giving Q details about the guy he saw, and Q is entering them into the computer and generating this face.
And this thing goes from hair, the nose, the eyes, the chin, you name it. Q can structure it, basically, right?
And they quickly identify the dove.
Which, by the way, I am terrible at describing people. So I would never, ever get that down right. So I just wanted to point that out. So bravo to Bond. That is good at knowing exactly, and Q is really good at that. I couldn't even be one of those people in the police department that can just good at drawing to know what they look like. Don't give me that guy. Yeah. Can't be that guy. Anyways, I'm sorry.
So they identify this guy, and they call him, later we find out his assassin name is the Dove. and that he's from Italy. And so Bond goes to Italy.
I feel like we should play Prince When Doves Cry every time we say the dove.
When
The
Doves
dove.
Cry.
When doves cry. Okay, anyways. So, yeah, he has to Italy.
So he's in Italy. He's got the Red Lotus. And Bond arrives at a hotel. And there's like the suspicious dude that like walks past him and looks back at the audience and the camera. And we find out that he's a contact for Bond. And his name is Ferrara. And then they go to this Olympic ice rink to meet another contact named Kristatos.
Kristatos. Yes, Kristatos.
And Kristatos is mentoring a blonde girl who is going to compete in the Olympics.
Yeah, and fun fact, the actual woman was an award-winning Olympic person, so that's kind of cool that at the same time they got a real Olympic winner doing this part. She's a blonde girl that goes by the name of Bibi, and basically Kristatos is I want to say her mentor.
Yeah.
Could you would say that, right?
Yeah, because I get the impression that he used to be a skater.
Yeah, and so
Lynn Holly Johnson is the Olympic.
Okay, so. And then at the same time, there is another woman there, but she's basically kind of like the teacher, I guess, or she's the one.
She's the coach.
She's the coach. So, but Kristatos is basically also on top of that, not only his mentor, I believe the sponsor for her too. I believe.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm not real sure what this movie, man.
Right. So basically, he's involved of her going on for success and all this stuff.
They needed an excuse for this guy to be in the movie, and this is it.
There you go. So we'll call him that guy. So that guy sat down with Bond, and Bond and his contact Farah were wondering if they know who this Dove guy is, because they show him a picture of him, and I guess he knew a little bit of information about him. They said they have talked at one point, and what was the discussion about? Awesome, because there is a lot of nothing. I couldn't tell you. They talked, but there was nothing there. It was okay, cool.
Yeah. And I had to go back and look this guy's name up because they kept saying Kristatos, and I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Right.
Because there was bad accents going on. But Bond leaves there, and he sees Melina.
Yeah, he sees Melina in the crowd, and he was, his mindset is, why are you here?
And she tells him that she got his message, and that he had found another person involved with her parents' death, and so she was there to murder them, basically.
Right.
And so Bond is like, no, I didn't call you, but because you were we kind of skipped ahead a little bit. Two guys on motorcycles with spikes on their tires.
Yeah, you forgot about that part. Yeah.
Tried to kill her. And so Bond saves her, and they have a discussion about why she's there, and she tells him that she got his message, and he's like, no, it was a trap. Go back to your houseboat and do whatever the excavating.
Basically, go back and do your normal life, and I'll come get you.
I'll let you know when I
By the way,
something.
Bond managed to knock out two motorcycle gentlemen with this large piece of plastic, wood or whatever. What do you call what is that called? What's the it's not like real. What is that word? It's not real wood, but it's like not particle.
Particle board.
That's it. It looks like particle board, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like particle board. He knocks them both out, with that stuff. Didn't break, whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's one of those signs where, it's a road blocker, and you look like you at the top of it, and it's knocked somebody else with it. Anyways,
Bond goes back to his hotel room after sending Melina on her way, and Bibi is taking a shower in his room, and climbs into his bed, takes her towel off, and is trying to get Bond to bone her.
Right.
And
by the way, we don't know how old Bibi is.
Yeah, we don't know. All we know is she seems innocent, and everyone assumes she's a virgin, but she's also flirty with every guy she sees. So we're not real sure what her real purpose is.
Right. I don't think Bond know what the real purpose.
No, but Bond is like, why don't you get dressed and then we'll go
get some ice cream.
Well, he offered to take her to this event at this Olympic training camp or village or whatever, and so they go and they see they're watching some cross country skiing, which is where people ski across country and then shoot guns and they continue skiing. Which,
you know what? That actually sounds pretty cool. To watch that, would that interest you?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty cool. But from there, Bibi noticed one of the gentlemen there doing it. He goes by the name of, what's your paper say here?
Eric.
He goes Eric. And
Eric Krieger.
Yeah, Eric Krieger. And by the looks of it, like, you know, he's pretty damn good at this shooting and stuff. So good that there's more to him than we think people know. So Bond said he had to head out.
Right, and he leaves Bibi.
But the rest of the guys didn't want to leave him. So in the distance too, the dove was out in the kind of near the forest, and he's kind of staring down. You know, no words. It's kind of like he looks. It looks like he looked at Eric, and he's like, you know what to do.
Right.
And so Bond is going through the forest and everything like that, and he gets shot at, and he gets stuck behind this tree, like in the middle of the forest. He gets stuck in this tree, and like Eric got him like
pinned down
like no other, like so pinned down that Bond lost his gun. And he shot the gun, and Eric shot the gun away from him, so there's no way doing it. And Bond just ran for it.
Well, and then he also shot the ski pole.
Oh,
and
yeah,
broke it in
that's
half.
right.
And, you know, really, there's nothing exciting about this scene.
So, just for you guys to let you know, there's actually 2 ski scenes in this scene. There's a part 1 and part 2. And the reason I said part 1 and part 2, because, like, there is a chase where, you know, him and Eric and 2 motorcycle gentlemen are like chasing him down, and then Bond managed to get away for a second, and he ends up going on this giant ski jump, like you would see like in Olympics and stuff. Or I never been to a skiing resort, so I don't know if there's one in a normal one.
It's just a giant ski jump where like skiers get up as much speed as they can, and it looks like they kind of fly. Yeah, and whoever can go the farthest wins.
So Bond ends up trying to blend in with the crowd, but the dove noticed him in the crowd, and so they started kind of going towards him. Bond managed to escape in the elevator. They managed to get in the elevator because the elevator opened up again. Bond had no choice but to jump off this giant ski jump, this giant ramp. So but at the bottom, everybody down there was waiting for him,
right,
ready to shoot him.
Eric has his gun. The dove is behind him. On the following him up the ski slope, and like kind of signals that he's got a gun in his pocket. So as Bond is going down the ski slope, another henchman comes out and tries to like knock him off the jump, which distracts Eric.
Right.
Somehow. Anyway, there's a big chase scene, motorcycles, skis, and they end up in a bobsled track,
which is probably the best scene.
It's the best chase scene in this movie, because there's a bobsled in front, Bond on skis in the middle, and then this dude in like Eric on a motorcycle following behind. So they're going extremely fast. Yeah,
it kind of reminds you like the Spy Who Loved Me, that giant car scene where like the motorcycle, the boat, a helicopter, all that stuff is chasing after y'all, except it's down a bobsled.
Yeah. So Bond ends up jumping out of the bobsled track. Eric follows. Bond goes like over this hut. Eric goes through. Cabin goes through this cabin and ends up like destroying his bike and his gun. And so he can't follow Bond anymore. But apparently he's strong enough that he could pick up the whole bike and throw it at Bond.
He is super strong. And this gentleman here that's throwing is that Russian gentleman. He goes by the name of I'll find out after this on this note thing. But
Which
anyway,
Russian guy?
the gentleman that threw that bike, that wasn't Eric.
Yeah, it is.
Nah, because remember Eric.
That's Eric Kriegler.
Not that guy.
Yeah, that's that guy.
I don't think it is. Is it?
It's that guy, dude.
Oh, he looks different.
No, it's him.
Okay. All right. If you say so. He just looks different than me.
No, that's him.
Okay.
Same suit.
So he managed to get on the bike that freaking quick.
Yeah.
That Eric guy is something else. Okay.
Eric.
Okay. Anyways, so he ends up meeting up with Bibi as she's practicing ice skating and whatnot
at a different rink. Yeah,
and Bond shows up. She's excited and all this stuff, but Bond was basically saying goodbye.
Right,
he's heading out.
He told her that she asked him to say goodbye before he left because she's all flirty, and there's probably a contract for her to have more screen time.
Right, and then after that, a couple hockey guys came in just practicing hockey, and then they were actually people hired to try to kill Bond. He's part of the Duff's henchmen, and Bond managed to beat them all and head out.
He took out the last guy with the Zamboni.
Yeah, and then from there, Bond went to go meet up with Melina. But let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about another mysterious woman that Bond meets on his voyage.
Yep.
We'll be right back. Hey listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, aka your in-game boss. And I want to let you know that this is not the only show you can listen to. We got great shows like the In-Game Boss Podcast, the Game of Halls of Rivalries, Bond Never Dies, and Area 44, and more to come. So if you enjoyed this show, make sure you follow and subscribe to the network so you're always updated with the newest episodes and update on any other news that happens in the In-Game Boss program. So, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the show. Hey, this is Jeremy Evans, the man behind the In-Game Boss program, a network of gaming and other variety shows. But did you know I do my own show? Yeah, it's the In-Game Boss Podcast, a show where I challenge not only you, but myself on fun subjects in the gaming culture with fun guests. So come by and be challenged. And welcome back to Bond Never Dies. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, along with me, Travis Hanna. And so far on this voyage, and for the listeners, I want to say that in this particular episode, I'm going to be totally honest with y'all. This is a very interesting movie because so far, have you heard from the first part where basically if you're listening to this right now and you're really thinking of, wow, either they're not really sounding like they're having fun, or there's really nothing to this film. And to tell you the truth, there is a little bit of both. And what we're doing is we're trying our best to make it sound exciting, but
there's just no substance to this film.
Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to do the best we can to make it exciting, because I'm not saying don't go see it. You need to see it for yourself and put your own opinion. Maybe you'll like the movie.
For sure.
But we'll talk at the end of this episode, at the end of this, briefing. We will talk about our overall thoughts, so you can kind of get a more understanding how the tone of this episode is. So let's continue on. So after meeting up with Melina and getting information, he heads to the casino. And at the casino, he ends up playing this weird game. I have never heard of it, but I hear the word like bong all the time in there, and it sounds like if they say that you win or you lose, but they play with these giant, not so much chips, but there's
they're chips.
They're chips. They look like a bunch of coasters stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, it's just how they do it in Europe.
Oh, okay.
So they're like notes.
Okay.
If you watch the Daniel Craig Casino Royale, that's what they use.
That makes sense.
So,
and I might have seen it in other Bond casinos. I just didn't pay attention, probably.
Yeah,
because they don't stay in the casinos those scenes that long.
I think it's just an easier representation for the viewer to see.
Okay.
because they're like the numbers are bigger. You can see how much they are. Like
Yeah.
what they represent.
And I also came to a notice that it's been a long time in the last couple of films that we didn't see Bond in a casino.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. Like, it feels like that this particular mission, it feels like you're going back to the basics, and it feels like that they're trying to check off everything that should be in a Bond form ingredients. So your casinos, your chases, your famous scenes, the girl, and all this stuff. So here, and at all this, we haven't seen Bond bonded yet. So, but that's going to change because while he was beating this gentleman at this game that looks like a skinny Goldfinger, this mysterious woman dressed in all blue came up and actually really put this guy on blast. He really embarrassed him and said, "You gonna let this guy beat you?"
Right. You're only gonna bet half your money.
Right.
And her name, she's known as the Countess.
Mm-hmm.
And later, Bond is having dinner with.
He's having dinner with this gentleman named Columbo.
Not Columbo. It's
not Columbo?
No, it's the Kristatos guy.
Okay, I thought the Kristatos guy was sitting by him.
He points out Columbo to him while they're eating dinner.
Oh, okay.
Remember, because they order wine and a bunch of stuff and.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're sitting and they're talking and he. Points
Oh, you
out,
said Bond, didn't you?
Yeah, Bond.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bond and Kristatos.
Sorry. No, I thought we were going off he was watching the Countess go talk to Columbo.
No.
Sorry.
So yes, the Countess sits with this guy named Columbo, who is supposed to be an agent of the Dove, and Columbo walks away, and you find out that he's actually recording a conversation that's being had between Kristatos and Bond.
Okay. Sorry about that.
And so
sorry,
when he comes back, this whole fake fight scene happens between Columbo and the Countess, and Bond ends up going after the Countess, and then going back to her place where they bond it, and then she basically says that she was supposed to set him up and kill him.
How does he do it? How does he just bond it and the girl change? You know what? You were so good. I'm not gonna throw you under the bus.
Yeah. Well,
I want to be your girl, Bond.
The next morning, they're walking on the beach, and the Dove is there and he's in a dune buggy, and there's other people in dune buggies.
The Dove.
And anybody who has seen Game of Thrones, the head of the Lannister household is there.
Right. Uh-huh.
As a super young, Tywin Lannister is there, and he's super young. So, if anything, it's worth watching just to see him. But Countess runs off. Dove runs her over, kills her.
Okay.
It's
okay.
I mean, this is the excitement.
Yeah. Okay. So So let's talk about this real quick.
Okay.
Because this is one of the highlight. This is one of the I don't want to say a highlight, but it's one of those. Why does this exist? So Bond goes makes love to this girl. The girl basically ends up liking him. Not going to betray him. They go at the beach. And now they're just hanging out and stuff.
She dies.
She dies. But I guess my question is, when they're walking on the beach, it felt like, are we watching a different movie now? Because I feel like why are you with her now? I feel like you should have got the information, got out. I'm like, this is a totally different story, and then she's dead, and it's why is this scene still going?
Well, and it cuts off because these guys come out of the ocean, and Bond thinks they're part of the Navy, and it turns out they're actually working for Dove, and they knock Bond out and capture him, basically.
Right. And by the way, Roger Moore is wearing the exact same outfit that Lazenby wore in Your Majesty's Secret Service. Just throwing it out there. So, anyways. Oh, yeah, and by the way, this whole time so far, Bond and the Dove have never said one word to each other. Not one yet. They've been close, face to face.
Yep.
No words has spoken yet. And the Countess, She got messed up. Like
Bad.
Yeah.
She did.
Okay.
But anyway, so when Bond wakes up, he's on the boat and he's in front of Columbo. And we find out that Columbo is not actually working for the Dove, but is like a secret agent, a double agent, and wants to stop the Dove, and he wants Bond's help to do so.
Right. So, and right off the bat, Columbo was really basically showing him, look, everything's cool. You know, I think that they're playing around with you. I'm not the guy. I'm going to prove it to you. You know, I got a meeting, or I know one of the bases where the Dove is at. We're going to go there. We're going to mess some stuff up. And so,
right. And to prove my loyalty, here's a drink. Oh, you don't want the drink? I'm going to give you back your gun, and then we'll drink.
Right.
And so that's exactly what happens.
By the way, I actually like Columbo from there on out. I was like, I like you.
Yeah, he's a pretty good character.
He reminds me of the guy from Russia with Love.
Yeah.
Kind of sits back and enjoy the ride kind of guy. So, Travis, they end up going to, did they say Albania? Did they say they somewhere on the coast they went to go?
Yeah, and it's nighttime, and basically they're raiding one of the Dove's operations.
And this becomes probably the most action gun scene through this whole movie.
Yeah.
And so from there, they're attacking the ships. Everybody's going nuts. It's a big, giant shootout or whatever. And then your big scene happened inside this warehouse where it gets super quiet. Like, everybody was, trying to be super quiet, trying to get,
They were warehouse fighting.
Basically. So
everybody was fast as lightning.
Right.
It was, in fact, a little bit frightening.
So it was so frightening, though, that while this kind of weird shootout was going on, the Dove was actually setting up one of those giant bombs that you heard about at the very beginning that sunk the ship.
Yeah, just a giant underwater mine. So it's round, and it's got little spines on it, and when you hit the spine, it causes the bomb to activate.
Right. And so...
so he's basically rigging it up so he can remote detonate it. Mm-hmm. And Bond tells everyone to get out because it's not safe. And he goes after the Dove, who blows up the building like right as soon as everybody gets out. And he's trying...
Did everybody make it out? It doesn't feel like it.
Well, it seems like all the good guys made it out.
Yeah. I was talking about the other guy.
So the Dove is like driving through these tunnels, and I'm not real sure what they are.
How did he do it? How did Bond meet up with him?
But Bond is basically just running upstairs and trying to catch him at each intersection where the stairs and these tunnels meet. And he finally does, and he shoots him through the windshield and in the arm. And the Dove spins out of control, and his car is hanging slightly off of the edge. So Bond walks up to him and throws one of his Dove pins at him and gives the car a kick, which pushes it off the side and kills the Dove.
And actually, they did say something. Well, Bond said something to him that he'll never ever respond back. And what was that line? I believe you dropped this.
Oh yeah, something like that.
And so the Dove is dead. The Dove, he's dead. So whatever you wanted to know about him, you're never going to know anything about him.
Yep.
You're not going to know what his purpose was. You don't know what his end game was. Nothing. He's dead. So
it cuts to underwater excavation going on. There's some Greek pillars and Greek statues, and there's someone swimming through the water, and we find out that it's Bond, and he's there to meet Melina, who is vacuuming up a mosaic that is on the seafloor. Like, she's vacuuming up the sand that's covering this mosaic.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Mm-hmm. And so after they kind of, lock eyes and kind of communicate, they meet back up to discuss what everything has been going on, basically.
But before they make it back onto her boat, she decides that she's going to leave her scuba gear next to this statue under the water.
And why do you think that? I don't know either.
We'll see that later.
Yeah, okay.
She read the script, ahead of time, and she's setting herself up for
She looked at
success
Bond like,
later.
You'll thank me later.
Right?
So, like I said, they swim up, have this discussion about like overall. Basically, I'm pretty sure you had the conversation like, you'll never believe what this movie has made me done. And so, anyways, so they're trying to figure out, since the dove is not really behind all this, who's really behind all this? Okay.
And they're also trying to figure out where the boat could be and if her father was onto anything, because we know that he was hired. And so looking through some logs, they find that he might have actually found the St. George's. And so they take a submarine and go investigate.
So after they discover where the boat was, Bond went in there to grab it, the
ATAC.
the ATAC thing, and everything was going well. But then all of a sudden, this giant
shark
and
comes out of a hole and scares them.
Yeah, but then something else creeps out of him. The giant white water suit man, like no other, looks like the Marshmallow Man, coming out to fight them. And
yeah, it's like a scuba. Like if anybody has seen the bear-proof suit, picture that with like a big head with portholes.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's a suit that has mechanical claws. So this guy is like trying to kill Bond and Melina, while Bond is trying to rig the ATAC to explode. And of course, Bond ends up doing it and taking this control panel that is the last remaining bit that can still control some of the submarines.
So I have one question for you, Travis. So that outfit, okay, do you think there's only one of those?
I think there is only one.
Only one of those? You think so? Okay. So that suit we saw was actually earlier in that warehouse that the dub blew up.
Right.
So the question is there more than one? Or
is that the one that the dove blew up?
Yeah, and the question is like, why does that still exist? So what happens after that, Travis?
So Bond and Melina escape. Bond activates the ATAC thing to explode, and then there's a scuba fight.
Oh, scuba.
They get back to the submarine. As I said, scuba. There's a submarine fight. And while they're getting ready to take off, another submarine is coming at them and starts like cutting some of the wires and air hoses on the outside of their submarine. So Bond like pushes this little submarine into the hole of the St. George's and gets it stuck, and then just moseys on back to the bigger ship.
Just like that, right?
Like it's
like
really
it's
not that exciting of a scene.
Right.
But when he gets back to the ship, Kristatos is there with Eric.
Kristatos.
And
he's a new dove.
Basically, they're going to take the device, the ATAC from Bond, and they're going to kill them both.
Right. But before we kill y'all, I want to have fun with y'all. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to tie you up. Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase that. They have a little meeting because they, I think they got a hold of somebody to buy this off of them. They were talking a little office in there, so it was him. No. I apologize.
Gogol is going to buy it.
Yeah. But Kristatos was talking to Eric that was talking about...
Yeah, Eric said, I'm going to take it to this place. And Kristatos is like, no, that's not the plan.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it away until I get my money. And Kristatos and Eric is like, okay, but I'm going to hold on to this so that nothing happens to it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, meanwhile, up on deck, as they walk right back up, Bond and Melina are getting tied up because what's going to happen next is, well, I thought they were just going to throw them in the water and, like, you would throw an anchor and let the sharks deal with it. But that's not what happens. What happens is they decide they're going to drag them through the water, to make them suffer. So,
right. So basically, they're going to try and drag them across some reef, which is very sharp, and get them all cut up.
Which it did happen to Bond.
Right. But Bond in between them, like circling back around to drag them over the coral again.
Let's do it again. That's what he said. Let's run it again.
Bond uses the coral to cut his rope, and then he wraps the rope that's dragging them around this giant piece of coral, and it ends up freeing them from the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And they swim back to Melina's air tank that she left down there earlier. And Kristatos thinks the sharks got them because there was blood in the water. There's a bunch of sharks around. So he thinks Bond and Melina are dead.
Can we talk about one scene that cracked me up? So there's a scene where after Bond and Melina cut off, what happened is, that giant, buoy thing flew off and hit the boat, right? One of the guys fell off the boat, and that gentleman was close to Bond, but these two sharks managed to skip Melina and Bond and go after this gentleman in the water, even though Bond is bleeding out like no other. And that cracks me up. Okay, I was like, really? You were like inches close to them.
Yeah.
Like, why? What? So I thought that was just an interesting thing. It was like, wow, everything's going Bond's way in this one. And so, anyways, so after they managed to break out, Kristatos thinks they're dead. So Bond and Melina are back on this boat, and they're still trying to figure out, like, what are we going to do? Where are they going to go? And apparently the parrot that's been in this boat the whole time, since the beginning, we didn't mention it.
It belonged to her dad.
We didn't mention it because it wasn't important yet. Now it is. So the parrot that's been in here the whole time mimics everything that goes on inside the boat. So he's just basically mimicked the last conversation that happened there, and he said a certain word.
Silris or Cyril?
Something like that. And that was their clue. So where did they go next?
They go to Cyril.
So
where there's a Greek festival going on. Looks like a wedding or something to that nature.
Yeah.
And Bond enters a church where Q is hiding out as a priest.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Q and Bond talk about where Kristatos might be hiding out, and Columbo and Bond recruits Columbo to help him go raid his hideout, which is on top of this rock peak that the Greeks used to defend against the Germans in World War II.
So here's the plan. So Bond is doing this alone. Okay, he's gonna climb up this whole cliffside.
So it's
everybody else says backs.
To kind of give everyone an idea. This is like,
this is supposed to.
Anybody who's seen the rocks at Monument Valley, where they're just giant freestanding rocks. They're not really mountains or anything. They're just freestanding structures that are natural. It's kind of the same deal, except this is rising up out of the ocean. And there's like a compound or a mansion on top of this rock. So the only way up there is either climbing the rock face or there's a basket that can be lowered. So Bond is climbing the rock face and putting in carabiners so he doesn't fall all the way to the top so he can lower the basket and get Columbo and the rest of the crew up to help him fight off Kristatos.
This is the other big part of this film. Like, if you watch trailers for this movie, they really show this part the most, right? So overall, what did you think of this whole rock climbing scene? I thought, in my opinion, like it was cool the first 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, it went on a lot longer than it needed to, for sure.
And so,
I mean, it's really neat to see someone climb like a rock face like that. Especially because I know I can't do it.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, it went on a bit long. But it cut while Bond is on the outside, it cuts to the inside, and Bibi is practicing with her coach, and Kristatos is telling her, or she's complaining that she wants to ice skate and not just do stretches and ballet. And Kristatos is like, well, we're going to go to Cuba. And we're going to have fun in Cuba. And Bibi is just being annoying.
Right. So all this is happening while Bond's rock climbing all the way up and everything like that. And the gang down there waiting for Bond decide to kind of slowly like head towards there because Bond's almost up there. And so, but Bond ends up getting caught in a bit of a snafu because one of the guards that decided not to tell, Kristatos that there is an invader, he decided to take matters in his own hands. Like, I don't need to tell him. I'll take care of myself.
Right.
So what happens is he's slowly trying to knock down all the pins.
So he kicks Bond off of the rock face, and one of the carabiner pins that is holding him in place, he like knocks it out and then goes to do another one, and Bond ends up getting the upper hand.
Mm-hmm. And so basically what happened was, just to shorten it for you, they play reverse roles. Basically, Bond made it up to the mountain. The gentleman that's been trying to knock Bond off ends up falling off. And we actually see him fall flat on his face right in front of the group that's been down there. So that was kind of a surprise. Like, they went all the way, didn't they?
Didn't expect to see that.
Right. So to speed it up, they make it all the way up there, right? And while Bond was slowly like cranking them back up, another guard kind of heard the noise and decided to investigate what's going on. But the problem is he couldn't get in. He couldn't get into this little hut where Bond is cranking up the thing for the guys. So he's looking through the window and everything, but Bond managed to, hide. And so from there, Bond kind of gives a clue to the guys like, hey, he's on this side, shoot him. So Melina ends up shooting him in the chest with an arrow, which, ow, that freaking hurts.
Ow.
Yeah. And so from there, they try to pin him down. I got him to yell or anything like that.
Right. Columbo ends up knocking him out.
Right. I know, right? Columbo just gets to the point. Like, why are you making him suffer? Just knock him out. Let's just go on. So during this, a couple of things are happening. One, Bibi is done with this whole thing. She's trying to leave.
Right. And her coach.
Yeah, her and her coach. They're both trying to leave. While you're doing that,
Gogol is on his way in a helicopter to pick up the ATAC.
Mm-hmm. So that's all happening while Bond is trying to get to Kristatos. So they're heading out, and the first person they run into is the coach.
Right.
So somehow the coach and Bibi got separated, and the coach
is like, "Yeah, I'll help you."
Right. Show me where the
No
guards are. Apparently, the guards fall asleep during the day in this little bunker place. So they end up like knocking them out or whatever, and then
there's like a barracks or something.
Yeah, sleeping in the daytime, I guess.
And so like Columbo's men get all those guys hostage.
Right.
And then Bibi is talking with Kristatos, who ends up like backhanding her. Like hardcore.
First of all, like Bibi shouldn't come in like that. She already came in. It's like, what you do to her? And like Kristatos would know, right?
Right.
And so he's just like, shut up, bam, slap in the face. That's the first one. There's two. And so during that, Bond is making their way up, but their stealth is not really working anymore. So because these two guards are the only ones that actually could put up a fight, and so they're duking it out. Him and Columbo.
Oh, right. They're fighting, and then Kriegler like gets in the mix.
Mm-hmm. And Bibi is just in the way.
Yeah.
So, and she gets backhand again, and and so from there, Kristatos has the ATAC, and he is just running for his life, and everybody's chasing him down, like everybody. And so from there, they managed to make it up to the cliff where the helicopter pad is, where
Gogol is
supposed to meet up.
And Kristatos is Melina wants to kill Kristatos. Bond is like trying to tell her that it's not worth it and that she can't kill him, that she's got to be better than him. And then Columbo like throws a knife and kills him in the back, like stabs him in the back and kills him.
Right. And I love that scene so much because like Bond this whole film is trying to make sure that Melina doesn't spill blood, even though she already spilled blood like at the very beginning. And he's just talking about like, don't go down this path. This is bad. And then Columbo just come out like just kill him. Come on. We got stuff to do.
Right.
And Columbo look like, look, I'm having the worst day right now. Let's just get this over with. And that was probably one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, because he just kind of collapses over, and when later we see him on the steps, just kind of like exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So Bond goes to meet Gogol with the ATAC, and instead throws it off the side of the cliff. It hits part of the cliff and just shatters into a million pieces. And Bond says, now neither of our countries have it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it's win-win. Nobody has to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Gogol goes on his way. Bond and Melina shack up. She takes off her clothes and says, this is for your eyes only.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to send Bond text messages through his Casio watch.
Mm-hmm.
And they call him, and they set it down next to the parrot, who starts mimicking what they're saying.
Right.
And so they tie his watch into Margaret Thatcher, who was the Prime Minister of England at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking about how she wants to meet Bond, and she's very grateful for everything he's done. And in reality, she's just talking to this parrot.
Right. And then it just ends because they end up going skinny dipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the end of it. So that's the end of For Your Eyes Only. And so let's go through, if you listen to our show, you know how this works. So do we feel like that Bond completed his mission?
Yes,
yeah, but he didn't really need... It was kind of handed to him? And they got...
Well, it wasn't handed to him, but it just wasn't exciting. Like, there's a lot that happened, but I feel like it happened just so there could be an ending.
Okay.
Like, there was no substance.
I felt like that, yes, he did succeed, but at the same time, it was more of... I guess I felt like that Bond was making sure that he was completing it by himself than anybody, because he was really pushing everybody away. He's like, let me do this. Like, he had to prove something, like he's not an agent or something. I don't know why I got that feel from there. But how do we feel overall about the film? I think it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it. It's a far cry from the last two we watched.
Yeah, because it did, like, from going from The Spy Who Loved Me to Moonraker, which to me, Moonraker should have been the one that felt lower than this movie compared to them going to space, but it ended up being more exciting than this one. And the funny part is that For Your Eyes Only had all the action scenes you want. Like, you got your car scene, you got your ski scene, you got this death-defying cliff thing. So, like, why wasn't that not enough? I guess to me it was because I feel like the movie didn't know what it wanted to be. And all these characters were there, but they were there to be there, not so much of what their purpose was. Now, of course, Melina, her goal is to get revenge, but it felt like that Bond made her stop getting her revenge until she remembered, oh, yeah, I wanted to kill this guy.
No, I think she was going to kill that guy no matter what, and Columbo beat her to it. And
well, I'm talking about like in the middle. Like in the middle, it felt like that, like, why did you decide to stop because Bond told you? I would think if you wanted revenge, you would just do this no matter what.
Right.
And just let Bond hear what he wants to hear, but continue doing on your thing, But it felt like at the end, it was like, oh, let me kill him. We're here now. Let me do it. There was really no villain. The dove was there, but there was no words. So, like, what was the point of him?
Yeah, and Kristatos was lame.
Yeah, because you didn't have... If Kristatos was like Columbo to me, and he hung out with Bonds for a long time to build a relationship, and then he pulls the rug under him and say, I am the guy behind all this, maybe it'd be a different story. But he didn't get enough face time in the film. He was just there, so there was not enough time to really care. At the end, I was more like, let's just end this. This is kind of silly now.
Let's be done with it.
Yeah, let's just be done with it. I feel like that some of the stuff we talked about earlier, even off the show, we talked about there was a lot of Easter eggs they were trying to throw in there, and it felt like they were also trying to do stuff to clarify something. The beginning was unnecessary to me. I feel like that. What was the purpose of it if it's not involving the story? Because most Bond intros have a connection to what the main plot is. This felt like that. Oh, this is funny. Let's just do this, and then we do this story.
Well, and it's almost like someone was like, what are the key elements of a Bond film? and let's just make sure we check each of those things
Yeah,
off.
exactly.
And we'll make those things fit even if it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Just to put it into the movie.
Okay. So how do we feel about how we feel about the Bond girl? Like,
Lame. Hot but lame.
I think she was lame only because they made her lame.
Well, isn't that how it all works?
It's-
Like the first half of the movie, you're right. Like when she kills the guy that kills her parents and actually saves Bond, like she was awesome. But that's like the only thing she ever does.
I guess when I look at the Bond girl, you can tell right off the spot what she's gonna be. Like you could tell, like, okay, she's gonna be the damsel in distress. Okay, she's gonna be this person. Right here, when she kills somebody for the first time that early, you're thinking like, okay, she is gonna be this girl's revenge. She's gonna go against Bond on everything. Bond's gonna have to be the one to control,
rein her in.
Yeah, bring her in.
Yeah.
And totally a 180. She just ended up being in the back burner for me, and that was kind of a disappointment. And I wish that they just let her go a little wild. Just like let her make these dumb decisions and Bond has to fix a problem. At least that would be a good challenge for him in dealing with who is behind stealing this ATAC.
Right.
And so, and if it wasn't her father that died, she wouldn't really have a purpose in the film. So anyways, how do we feel like the Bond villain? Well, there's no Bond villain to me.
No, there's a bunch of characters who are bad, but there's no mastermind.
No. So we'll talk about what they were trying to achieve, and was to lead you on with somebody that wasn't actually the villain, right? So the Dove could have been a nice little twist if they gave him maybe some context, more of like talking. I understand they were trying to do the silent thing and then maybe something cool at the end, but I feel like they just didn't fulfill that. I feel like that they just didn't succeed on it. I feel like that he just didn't do the job for me. I just did not like the way they tried to do it with him. The quiet types are not really cool unless they last through the whole movie to me. If you kill him halfway, then why? You only saw him carry a couple of guns and he only shot a couple of times. That's all you got. Other than that, he ran over the countess, and we're not including her the Bond girl because she didn't last long enough to even have a reason.
No.
So
No, all the bad guys in this were just terrible.
Okay.
They're just terrible. I think this might be my least favorite.
So you're putting this even below Live or Let Die and Man with the Golden Gun to you?
Yeah, just because there was no point to anything. At least in the other two, there was a plot, there was a story, there was a bad guy.
I'll give you that.
This is just like, oh, there's the Dove. He's the guy we're going to chase for half the movie. And then Kristatos, surprise.
Right.
Which wasn't really even a surprise.
I'll give you that.
It's just very incoherent.
Right. So, of course, that this one is definitely not in our top 5. No way in hell.
No.
But the question is, when we do the worst, would you put in your worst?
I'd put my worst.
Okay. Would that be number 1 right now for you, or just in your top 5 somewhere?
Just in the top 5 somewhere.
Okay.
Let's see what else comes up.
Okay. And with that is basically the end of our mission. We also talked about, you heard it from the beginning, how we felt about the intro and everything. And, it's funny because we talked about this on another podcast, Area 44. Definitely check it out when we were on there. But we also we talked about how the music intro can kind of give you a hint how you feel about the movie. And so, for example, this intro was, don't get me wrong, I like the song, but it is a boring song. So you kind of got that feel like, this is kind of where it's going to go. Do you agree? Sometimes the music can kind of give you that feeling like, I don't know.
It wasn't exciting enough.
Right. I haven't had one where the intro wasn't good, but the movie is fantastic. I haven't ran into that in the Bond series yet. Have you?
Well, I mean, there was Goldfinger.
But Goldfinger, I like Goldfinger.
Oh, okay.
I like Goldfinger a lot. I like that. I like the intro. I like the music, and I enjoying the movie too.
Oh yeah. I mean,
but it hasn't been an intro I didn't like, and then I love the movie.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm asking, have you personally?
No, I have not.
Okay, so when that happens, that's going to be a fun discussion to talk about. But basically, this is the end of our mission. I want to thank everybody for listening in. once again, I'm not saying we're sorry, but I want to say that we are disappointed that this movie did not live up that we were hoping it would off of Moonraker.
We are very self-aware that this was probably going to be boring to talk about because
Right.
there was a lot of stuff that happened, but not a lot that was necessary.
Right, and we didn't care to share it because it's basically kind of just spinning. We're going around in circles.
Right.
We could like the ski scene. We can go more details, but it was unnecessary to go in there because it basically repeated itself, split in two.
Right. Believe it or not, we tried to just before we sat down to record, we went through notes and we're like, we don't need to talk about that in detail. We don't need to talk about that in detail, and just kind of pinpointed the stuff that would try to highlight this movie, but it really just left a bad taste in our mouths.
Right. But let us know what you think. Did you like For Your Eyes Only? Do you think it's the best one so far?
Yeah, tell us we're wrong.
Tell us we're
dare
wrong.
you.
Tell us why. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why this was the best one, or it's not as worse than Never Let Die or Man with a Golden Gun. If it's better than Moonraker, I would love to hear your thoughts about that. But all you have to do is email us at theingameoffice@gmail.com, or you can talk to us on Twitter, and you can talk to us on Facebook, and I'll have that posted up and hear y'all's opinions on it and everything else.
And where else can they hear us?
And of course, you can hear all these missions as part of the In-Game Boss program. It's a network of gaming and other variety shows, and you get to listen to all these other shows. So if you just look up the In-Game Boss program, you get to hear this show and all the other shows, and you can hear all these shows on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify now. And we are so happy that we're on Spotify. It's just more places for people to listen to, and yeah, and that's basically it. So, Travis, anything else you want to add before we head out?
No, just that we appreciate you guys listening, and we appreciate any feedback we get.
And we will catch y'all definitely on our next exciting mission.
Ba-da, ba-da.